Hello gentle listeners, and welcome back to episode 6 of Whispers of the Past. I'm your host, Josh, and today I'm going to tell you about the life of one of Ireland's most iconic heroes, Chulainn. His story is one of unparalleled bravery, tragic sacrifice, and legendary feats. So, grab a cup of tea, settle in, and let's step into the ancient world of the Hound of Ulster. Before I begin the story, I want to tell you an important thing about Chulainn that will become prevalent near the end of our story. He was bound by two separate geas, or magical taboos, that provided him with great strength, provided he did not break their rules. The first of these rules was that Chulainn must take and eat any food offered to him by a woman. The second was that he could not eat dog meat in any form. Now you know that, I can begin telling you the legend of Chulainn. This story begins with a boy named Setanta, born to Chulainn, the sister of the King of Ulster, and fathered by Lugh, the god of sun and light. Setanta's destiny was forged in both the mortal and divine realms, and from a young age, it was clear that he was no ordinary child. From a very young age, he displayed remarkable abilities that set him apart from his peers. He showed an incredible aptitude for physical feats, with strength that was far beyond his years, and a keen intellect none of his age should have. His mother often spoke of how he would chase after wild animals and wrestle them to the ground with ease, feats that even seasoned hunters would struggle to accomplish. It was clear to everyone in Ulster that Setanta was a boy destined for greatness. As he grew older, he became more determined to prove himself among the warriors of Ulster. At the age of 6, he set his sights on joining the boy troop at Main Matcha, where the sons of nobles trained in the arts of war. Without hesitation, and with the confidence of someone much older, Setanta left his home and travelled to Main Matcha on his own. When he arrived, the other boys were engaged in a game of hurling. Setanta, eager to participate, joined the game without introduction. Despite being outnumbered, he managed to defeat the entire group, showcasing his incredible skill and courage. The older boys, initially angered by the intrusion, soon realized they were in the presence of someone extraordinary. His childhood was not just about physical prowess. It was also marked by a deep sense of justice and honor. One story tells of how, as a young boy, he took it upon himself to protect the weak and stand up against bullies. Whenever he witnessed injustice, he would intervene, using his strength not to intimidate, but to defend those who could not defend themselves. This sense of duty and protection would become a defining characteristic of Chulainn, the man he became. His upbringing was also influenced by the stories and teachings of his uncle, King Concobar. The king recognized Setanta's potential early on, and ensured that the boy was educated in both the warrior's craft and the wisdom of leadership. Setanta was taught not only how to wield a weapon, but also the importance of strategy, loyalty, and the responsibilities that come with power. These lessons, learned in his youth, would guide Chulainn throughout his life as he became the greatest warrior of Ulster and also the whole of Ireland. But the moment that truly transformed Setanta into the legendary Chulainn came during a fateful visit to the home of the blacksmith Chulainn. After a long day of sport, Setanta was invited to a feast at Chulainn's home, but he was delayed, and by the time he arrived, the feast was in full swing. Unaware that Setanta was coming, Chulainn had released his massive guard dog to protect the estate. As Setanta approached the estate, the Hound set out to attack him. But even at this young age, Setanta possessed extraordinary strength and reflexes. He fought the beast with nothing but his hands and hurling ball, and he killed it in a single throw. When Chulainn discovered his beloved Hound had been slain, he was heartbroken. Setanta felt responsible for the loss, so he offered to take the place of the Hound until a new one could be trained. he would be Chulainn's protector, the guardian of his home. It was then that Chulainn had earned the name Chulainn, meaning Chulainn's Hound. This was just the beginning of his life as a warrior and a protector, a role that would bring him both glory and heartache. As Chulainn grew, so does his reputation. His most famous exploits are chronicled in the Táin, or the lesser-known title, the Cattle Raid of Chulainn. This epic centres on a dispute between Queen Meb of Connaught and King Ailill, her husband. They were comparing their wealth, as powerful rulers do, and discovered that while Ailill had a magnificent white-horned bull, Meb had no bull of equal value. Determined to outdo her husband, Meb learned of a great brown bull in Ulster and resolved to take it by force. Meb gathered an enormous army and marched towards Ulster. As the battle for the bull began, the men of Ulster were struck down by an ancient curse. This made them experience a woman's labour pains during their hour of greatest need, and this left them unable to fight. The only one unaffected by the curse was Chulainn, who, at just 17 years old, stood alone to defend his homeland. Here, the legend of Chulainn truly takes flight. Chulainn employed a unique battle strategy to hold back the advancing army. He invoked the ancient tradition of single combat, challenging Meb's warriors one by one. Bound by honour, they could not refuse, and so, one by one, Chulainn defeated each champion who came forward. But these weren't easy battles. During a lull in the battle, Chulainn met a beautiful woman who attempted to seduce him. Driven by his sense of duty, he rejected her, and she disappeared. In the ensuing battles, Chulainn slew 3 animals that crossed his path: an eel, a wolf, and a heifer. Later, as Chulainn rested from slaying the latest champion of Meb, an old woman appeared to him, bleeding from the same wounds he had inflicted on the animals. She offered him free drinks from her cow, and he thanked and blessed her each time. With each blessing, one of her wounds healed. When she was completely healed, she revealed herself as the Morrigan, the goddess of war, death, and fate. She then prophesied that Chulainn would die young, and that she would be there to witness it. Among the warriors Chulainn faced was his beloved friend and foster brother, Ferdiad. The duel between Chulainn and Ferdiad is one of the most tragic and famous episodes in Irish mythology. The pair fought for days by the ford of the River Dee, neither willing to yield. They were evenly matched in skill, strength, and courage, but Chulainn had a secret weapon, the Gaebolg, a deadly spear given to him by the warrior woman under whom he had trained in the arts of combat. On the 4th day of the duel, Chulainn reluctantly unleashed the Gaebolg, striking Ferdiad with a blow that no warrior could survive. As his friend lay dying in his arms, Chulainn wept, grieving the loss of someone who had been like a brother to him. Despite the sorrow and exhaustion, Chulainn's defence of Ulster did not falter. Day after day, he fought off wave after wave of Meb's warriors, holding the line through sheer will and unmatched skill. It's said that in battle, Chulainn could enter a state known as the Ristrad, or battle frenzy. His body would twist and contort, his hair would stand on end, and his rage would turn him into an unstoppable force. This transformation made him a figure of both awe and terror. No one, friend or foe, could stand against him when he entered this state. Finally, after a series of grueling confrontations, the men of Ulster began to recover from the curse. With their strength restored, they joined Chulainn in battle, and together they repelled Queen Meb's forces, forcing her to retreat. Though Meb did manage to steal the bull, the war ended in tragedy, as the stolen brown bull fought and killed Ailill's white-horned bull, before succumbing to its own injuries. The epic ends on a note of sorrow, with both sides suffering great losses, but the story of Chulainn does not end with Victorian. His life was one of continuous struggle and sacrifice. He was fated to die young, a fate foretold by prophecies that haunted him throughout his life. Over the next few years, Chulainn gained a number of powerful enemies beyond Meb. The most notable was Lugiad Mac Curoi, the son of a man Chulainn had slain after they quarrelled over a woman. In time, Lugiad had made 3 magic spears, each of which could kill a king. He formed alliances with many of Chulainn's greatest enemies, including Queen Meb, who all agreed that his spears were the best chance at killing Chulainn. Elsewhere, while these spears were being made, Chulainn was forced to break his magical vows after having to choose between being inhospitable to a strange woman who offered him food, or eating dog meat. Upon eating the meat, Chulainn's magical strength faltered, and not long afterward, Queen Meb's forces invaded Ulster once more. Chulainn, now in his early 20s, answered the call to battle. Before taking the field, he spied the strange woman who had offered him food, washing his armor in a stream. This was the Morrigan, who had come to fulfill her prophecy of his death. Steeled by her appearance, Chulainn charged the battlefield atop his powerful chariot, led by his driver, Laig. Lugiad also took to the field, threw his spears, and hit 3 targets: Laig, king of the charioteers, Leif Macha, king of horses, and Chulainn, king of warriors. In his final moments, Chulainn tied himself to a standing stone, using his own entrails, and died raising his sword to the heavens. His rage and reputation were such that no one attacked him until a raven, the Morrigan herself, landed on his shoulder, revealing that he was dead. When Lugiad came to claim Chulaynn's head, a light flashed from his now headless body, and Chulaynn's blade fell, cutting off Lugiad's hand. After his death, the landscape of Ulster seemed to hold its breath, mourning the loss of its greatest hero. The warriors who had once fought alongside him now carried the heavy burden of his memory. The bard sang of his deeds, immortalizing his story in the annals of Irish lore. But Chulaynn's death marked more than just the passing of a warrior. It symbolized the end of an era, a shift from the age of heroes to a time of sorrow and reflection. The land itself seemed to bear the scars of his loss, as if the very earth remembered the bloodshed and sacrifice that had taken place. In the years that followed, Chulaynn's legend continued to evolve. Stories of his childhood, his battles, and his tragic end were told and retold, each version adding new layers to the myth. Some tales spoke of his encounters with the supernatural, where he crossed paths with gods and spirits, while others focused on his humanity, the moments of doubt, grief, and pain that made him more than just a mythical figure. These stories were not just for entertainment. They served as lessons, teaching the values of bravery, loyalty, and the cost of glory. As time passed, Chulaynn's image began to take on new meanings. During Ireland's struggle for independence, he became a symbol of resistance and national pride. His unwavering determination in the face of overwhelming odds inspired those who fought for freedom, and his story was invoked as a rallying cry for the Irish people. Statues were erected in his honour, and his likeness appeared in art, literature, and public discourse, a reminder of the enduring spirit of Ireland. Yet, beneath the layers of myth and symbolism, Chulaynn's story also carries a warning, a reflection on the burden of heroism. His life was marked by loneliness, the weight of responsibility, and the knowledge that his fate was sealed from the moment he took up arms. The same qualities that made him a hero also isolated him, as his strength set him apart from those he sought to protect. In his relentless pursuit of duty, Chulainn sacrificed not only his life, but also his chance for peace and happiness, leaving behind a legacy that is as tragic as it is heroic. In the end, the tale of Chulainn is a reminder of the complexities of heroism. His life was a tapestry of triumph and tragedy, light and darkness, where the line between glory and sacrifice was often blurred. As we remember Chulainn, we see not just a warrior of myth, but a reflection of the human condition, a symbol of the strength, resilience, and vulnerability that lies within us all. His story endures because it speaks to the internal struggle between duty and destiny, a struggle that continues to resonate through the ages. Chulainn's legacy is also a testament to the enduring power of stories. His tale has been passed down through centuries, surviving in the oral traditions of bards, the written records of scribes, and the imaginations of countless generations. Each retelling breathes new life into the legend, ensuring that Chulainn remains a living part of Irish culture. The figure of Chulainn transcends time, embodying ideals that resonate with each new era: courage, loyalty, and the willingness to face one's fate, no matter how daunting. Moreover, his story illustrates the profound impact that myths and legends have on shaping national identity. Chulainn is not merely a character from ancient lore, he is a symbol of resilience and defiance, a source of inspiration for those who face overwhelming odds. His tale has been invoked during times of conflict and struggle, reminding people of the strength that can be found in their heritage. In this way, Chulainn's story is not just a relic of the past, but a vital force in the present, a reminder of the power that stories hold in uniting and inspiring communities. As we bring this journey through the life of Chulainn to a close, we are left with a story that is as relevant today as it was in ancient times. Chulainn's tale is one of honour, sacrifice, and the indomitable human spirit. It is a story that asks us to consider what it means to be a hero, to weigh the cost of greatness, and to understand that even the mightiest of warriors are not immune to the pains of the world. Chulainn's legacy endures not just in the pages of history, but in the hearts of those who continue to find meaning in his story. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the life of Chulainn. If you enjoyed today's episode of Whispers of the Past, be sure to subscribe, leave a comment if you're listening on YouTube, and if you're listening on any of the podcast services, then send me your thoughts to whispersofthepast@gmail.com. I'm your host Josh, and I hope you will join me next time for another story.